Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey stories in a safe and supportive community. If you'd like to be on the show, please email lighttalk423 at gmail.com or in the comments below, type in guest please. While you're at it, please click on the like, subscribe, and share buttons. All right, let's get this rolling. Tell us all about yourself.
Um, Hello. I
Hi.
am a student at Rocky Mountain High School. I do all the athlete normal child things, and I am also very excited to be here to talk to you about funny paranormal things.
Oh, cool. And I'm excited to have you, and we're going to have fun with this.
All right, sounds good.
Woohoo. So go ahead.
Uh,
Whatever you want to say, give us some
all
of your
right.
stories. Awesome.
I guess I will just start at the beginning for attempt number two. um, it sort of like all starts a little bit with little things building on top of each other, where as a kid you're like, no, this is totally normal. And then, looking back from a place where you've been built up to in terms of like little funny psychic things or like odd little things that just pop into your life, you sort of realize that like actually that was sort of the building blocks of like where I am now, but you didn't really realize it at the time.
Uh-huh.
Speaking entirely from experience, as a kid, I would have sort of a bunch of funny moments where I would be dreaming, and then the dream would be interrupted in a little chunk of like uh, just something that seems really minute and normal. Like it will be this image of me like walking down a hallway or like glancing at a picture on the wall or something. And then a couple weeks later, I will realize that that moment was that which was embedded in my normal dream was sort of like it was a glimpse of the future essentially. Um, which kind of freaked me out a couple times. So I used to be like, basically my catchphrase as a kid was, "Oh my god, I had a dream about this," ah, which was it got a lot of glances from ladies at the grocery stores.
Keep them on
Oh
their
my god,
toes.
especially right. And I was a kid, I didn't really phrase things perfectly, and everyone's mind always goes a very different place when I say I had a dream about you. They're like, what, why?
Yeah, that's kind of
um
freaky. Do you even know me? Or
yeah, right. Why you're a child? What is going on? Where are your parents?
yeah.
Why have you cornered me in the chocolate section? What is happening?
I'm picturing all of that.
I had a large reputation as a child. Um, but I sort of realized that after a little while of looking back at these moments of like dreams clicking into place and becoming like little puzzle pieces where like I'll be in the moment where I dreamed about this and I'll have like this feeling around me where I'm like, there's something weird going on here. And then a certain smell will hit me and I'll be like, oh, well, this is especially more familiar, which is obviously, it was sort of that deja vu feeling where you're like, I swear this has happened before, but not
Right.
quite clicking into place. And
Uh-huh.
then, eventually every aspect of what I dreamed about will come into life. And maybe the last piece is that like someone says my name and I hear them saying my name. And so I turn to look at them and suddenly I'm looking at everything from the exact angle that the dream was in. And it was like sort of this freaky feeling of like, dear God, I've been here before. Which is again really odd to say in your own house where you're like, I've been here before, and everyone's like, I hope you have.
Yeah. I've done this before.
I'm like making
Well,
breakfast or something. They're like, yeah, no, you have, buddy. Um, yeah, I hope so. Should I not leave near the stove? Dear God.
yeah, yeah, we'll put her in a Looney Tune here soon.
Yeah. um, as I said, my reputation was large as a child. People were like, okay, okay, buddy, that's enough candy.
But it's so much fun though at the same time though,
Yeah,
giving them
it
a
was
hard time.
right, exactly. And especially because, I have a few other odd little abilities that most people don't generally have. So uh, it sort of, after a little while, became almost a hobby where, like, my teacher will give me a look in class and then I'll be like, ah, yes, I understand. The divorce is hard. And he'll be like, what is happening? And so um, I was slightly rude about it. And there's probably etiquette to that, but I was bored.
Oh, that's awesome. As long as you can have fun with it and no one's getting hurt, you know.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine recently with like similar sort of abilities, and she's like, "It's so rude when people do that," and I'm like giving her the side eye, like, "Oh, wow, yeah, that's so rude. Oh my goodness. Oh, imagine doing that to someone."
Yeah.
Like
Well,
pulling out my
everyone's
shirt.
different. I'm still learning that lesson that everyone's different and it's hard to know how to talk sometimes to certain people and
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's
yeah,
a little bit of an odd moment, but
right.
yeah. On that note, I'm sort of learning to respect the journey of it all, ever so slowly. With my patience is building, because I sort of want everything to be like fully developed at one time, like right
Yeah.
now. So I will be really frustrated that like a dream that I know was a glimpse of the future hasn't happened yet. I'm like, come on, and so I'll like look for it in everywhere. I'll be like, is this it? No. Oh, damn it, darn.
Next time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's yeah, I understand. I understand where you're at that with it.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
actually really frustrating, and there's no guidebook for it, for just like the amount of patience that's required for knowing that there's something important, or like that something's going to make sense but doesn't yet make sense. There's not really like a That's not a very common feeling, and so it's like such a difficult thing to deal with, because I feel like we have a tendency to be like, oh no, I know it, but like it's not helpful right now, which is
Right?
very frustrating.
Yeah. Like my husband says, he's always like, give me patience and hurry. Show me what's going on and hurry.
Right?
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
like a very normal tendency, but it's kind of very difficult to deal with. I think especially with like the spiritual journey aspect of everything,
Yeah.
because the amount of patience that it does require is insane, and there's nothing else. There's no other skill like probably anywhere that requires this much patience.
Yeah.
Like, because my guess is that it's just so like unknown, so you sort of have to explore it yourself, and which means that no one can tell you whether it makes sense or not. You just gotta trust, which is rough.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get you. I am so with
Yeah,
you on that. It is a tough thing to just, okay, I know I need to do this, but it's not quite working. So you try something
right.
else and that's not working. So where am I going? What's going on? Where am I
Yeah,
at?
right.
It's yeah, it's
I have
like,
tried 85 things. I
yeah.
can't think of another thing.
It's like,
There
okay,
aren't that many things to try.
right, right. So I finally got into doing my meditations outside underneath one of my trees, and that's so helping out, I think. At least I
Mhm.
did the first couple days, and now I'm like, okay, okay, now what?
Right? Oh
Now
my
what
God.
I need to do?
That feeling of like knowing that you're on the right path but not quite being ready to like switch paths or move on to something else is the worst thing ever, because you're like, okay, this is the right thing, right? Like something should be happening.
Right, right, exactly, exactly.
I used to
Oh,
be a huge insomniac, so meditating, ironically, given how much I've talked about hating patience, was like something that I had to do in order to like literally get myself to sleep.
right.
Um, so I totally feel that with the meditation thing. But my problem with that is that, again, my whole like impatience thing shows up where I'll be in the middle of meditating and I'll be like, okay, something important should be happening, right? Like I'm doing the thing. This is the come talk to me thing. Am I right?
Then in all actuality, I feel like that's disrupting the whole meditation is when you because your mind starts talking and it's like,
Right.
oh no, now I got to calm the mind. And then I've lost everything. It's like, oh man.
Lost the plot. Yeah,
Here we go
it's
again.
incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I think it sort of builds gratitude for the moments of like, oh, hey, this is actually like I'm getting closer somewhere. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm closer. I know that. And so, like, recently, I've sort of, I swear, it's been my entire life of like having these weird dreams, seeing these weird glimpses into people's existences, and it meaning nothing or not being helpful. But then recently, I had a dream that then was like really uh, soon of I think the next day. Um, I realized that it had meant that I needed to have like this intense conversation with my friend, and that was actually really helpful because I was like, oh, thank goodness, there's actually a purpose to this one
Oh,
instead of
good.
me just going crazy over waiting. So I'm really glad to finally have made it to the point of like, okay, there's been at least two of them that were helpful, which means there might be more that were helpful instead of just random unhelpful glimpses.
Yep. They were there. You just didn't have the key or whatever to open it up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I went to a psychic recently, well, relatively recently, and they were like, it'll all make sense. And I'm like, that's not, I know, I get it. Same thing
And
that tarot cards have been telling me this whole time, man.
I know. I was like, I have all these things, I talk on my pendulum. My mom just recently passed, so I've been talking with her a lot, and it's just I know this is going to happen, but when? When am I going to be able to see these things? When am I going to be able to, see the ETs? When am I going to, when can I see spirit? When can I talk to them? I want to talk to you. Come on. Where are you?
Right.
I just like, ah.
It's like reaching into the void where,
Ugh.
your whole life you've known that the void is there and you know that you're reaching into something because if not, then it was all for nothing. So you have that like faith inside where you're like, okay, this is for a point. There's a reason for this and I'm not reaching into nothing. But the void is still incredibly scary because it's like absolute variability where it could be anything. And I think that sort of like terrifies us to our whole core where we're like, okay, so I'm reaching my hand into this thing and I don't know what's there, but I know I'm probably doing it hopefully for a good reason. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at right now, actually, is I'm so intrigued with all of this, but yet I think I still have that fear of how to deal with the negative forms of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I'm at, where I need to learn how to deal with the negative and learn how to protect myself better and
Absolutely.
all of that. So it is a thing you have to worry about when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. You have to keep that in the back of your mind. But I'm like so excited still. I don't know what to say. It's just so exciting.
I think I agree. It's almost like the best form of practicing vulnerability almost because you have to be so completely like uh, faithful and believe in it so 100% that like there are going to be so many people who tell you that you're wrong, but the point of it is that it's vulnerable, and the point of it is that by opening yourself to the good you also open yourself to the bad, and it's therefore like the most vulnerable that a person can be is by experiencing and being open to these experiences, which
Mhm.
makes it the most terrifying thing that a person could do.
Right, right. And it's so exciting at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I'm still on the. Oy. kind of spectrum. But I know one day I'll be away from it, and I'll be grateful for this time, hopefully.
Yeah, I know I'm right with you on it. It sounds like we're pretty close to the same level here. Um, yeah, I'm just so excited for things to happen. I just saw like another apparition the other day in my I was in my garage and I saw just the backside of one going towards my front door. It's
Hmm.
hard to explain when you don't know the house, but anyways, just saw like the backside of it, just kind of, oh, all gone. I was like, oh, come on, come back, come back. Let's talk some more.
Yeah, that moment of frustration where they're like there just to taunt you, and then the god, you're like, why were you here?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just to bother me.
But I had other people out there, so I was like, oh, wait, I just saw an apparition. Everyone kind of stops and looks at me like, yeah, just right there. And then they continue with their conversation. It's like, people,
Hello? They're like,
do you
someone's
understand?
in, don't you know what this means?
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's like in the corner Googling what an apparition is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, oh, cool. It was just right there. Like, exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. It's such a weird journey that's like very unique to this sort of like place in existence almost, you know?
right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, you were talking about some ET experiences.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We got off
yeah,
track a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. You're so funny.
Finally, you've brought them up. My X Files have really. This is what I've been training for.
Oh, yay.
Um, I should probably preface it with a little bit of background on sort of the nature of these sorts of experiences within my family, because it's very common, but it's also we got half and half where some people are like, yeah, we're all mentally ill, and some people are like, we're all special people. And there's like that sort of balance between everyone here is insane and that also balance of everyone here is literally a witch. And it's such an odd line to walk because you especially growing up with that, you're like, I'm left to decide whether I want to be a witch or mentally ill. And honestly, one of those is a more appealing alternative, to be honest.
Yeah, a little.
So it sort of makes it a really odd experience because, to talk to them is like, oh my God, I had this thing. And then like 50 people in the room are like, oh my God, yeah, the same thing happened to me last Tuesday. And we're like, oh, what? But then, anyways, so there's plenty of family stories about like weird dreams being passed down and funny like road trips happening and watching the stars. And I sort of grew up with these stories, and I was like, man, imagine being that guy. And then over time, I've sort of become that guy, and now I am that guy. And well, I regret mocking that guy. um, but I think the first time that I really had one of those experiences that kind of was like the initial alien indoctrination into the family, um, I was really little and I was sitting outside on the terrace. And I believe it was during a blackout, so the whole city was like, it was nice and dark, which was really rare for the area that I was living in at the time because it was pretty much always super bright. So there were like every once in a while about 10 seconds before all the lights came on and the view of the night sky was ruined. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at the night sky and I see these like five little like stars that are sort of oddly close together, and my little brain, not knowing anything about stars or anything, is like, that's kind of funky. I feel like they're usually more spaced apart because I think I know everything.
Well, we do,
um
don't we?
oh, that's so true. um and I noticed that they were sort of not blinking the way that normal stars do. You know how, well, like when you stare at them, they sort of like fade in and out a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
they twinkle like stars, like this song. But these were oddly constant, and I found that a little bit eerie almost, where they were these oddly constant 5 stars, and I looked at them, and then I just watched them like fade away. They didn't move, they didn't zoom, they just disappeared, and I was like, well, that's funktastic. And ever since then, I've sort of had. It sort of all, I guess, goes back to the dreams, really, where it's after that I sort of started to have these moments where I was drifting off to sleep, and there would be like voices calling my name a little bit from like what felt all directions, kind of like, hey, hey, you, hey, and it was like, I remember telling my dad, and he's not huge on this stuff, but he was like, doesn't that get distracting? Like, if you're trying to fall asleep, wouldn't that mean that you're therefore woken up? And I'm like, that's such a logical, weird way to go about me telling you that people are shouting my name. But I respect it. um, but it was actually not like that at all. It was oddly comforting almost. Like, it almost felt like picking up the phone and sort of knowing that it's someone that you knew, or like a friend or something, and then hearing their voice, and it's like that confirmation of like, oh, hey, I knew it was you, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was more that feeling than it was waking up.
Yeah.
So
I've had that happen to me too. It was but they just said the word group, and the word group, I this must be a good story for me because I feel like I tell it a lot. But the word is just, I'm hard of hearing, so I read a lot of lips.
mhm.
And this word group came through so clear. I heard every letter in it. It was the most loving word. And I just, is like, I just wanted to hug it so hard because it was just so loving. And it was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just the best word ever that I've ever heard in my whole entire life. It was just the greatest word.
What do you think that was?
Um, I think it was a sign. I think it was telling me to embrace the people I work with as
Hmm.
a group, which is just now coming to me as I'm speaking. So, okay, another thing to work on. Another thing to work on. Uh-oh, my camera just went funky. Camera just
I
fell.
appreciate they're having an epiphany post conversation.
I know it's like, okay, that is okay. I know
Like,
I need to work on it.
oh, I get it now.
I get it. I know I
It's
need
like
to
when you
work on it.
realize what you should have said is like a comeback 4 years later, and you're like, ah.
I should have known. Oh,
What
but
else,
it's so hard.
obvious?
It's so hard to
Yeah,
go with that, and especially when it's
mhm.
not you, and it's just so hard. So hard.
Yeah, for sure. You said the word. I don't know. Do you believe in like the soul group theory with reincarnation and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I My psychic friend has talked to me. Shane Smith. I'll throw you out there, Shane. Um,
You.
yo, go Shane. Um, yeah, he actually did a past life with me.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I saw two of my lives, and then I had a dream of another one. And that one there, I was an ET.
Hmm.
So I got to see
Schmancy.
my, I know, I'm not sure which one it was. I want to say my mom, because I saw my mom. I was in a male's body, and I felt like we were probably a tall white, but I can't
Hmm.
verify that for sure. But
Do you think that falls in line with whatever your sole purpose for this life is?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I
Good
had
question.
I I was wondering about the theory where like I don't know because I get random glimpses of like past lives and stuff like that almost alarmingly frequently. Um, I would say it's alarmingly frequently just because it's like I'll be in the middle of something or like I'll meet someone new and I'll be like flashing back to like dying in their arms or something and it's just an odd moment to meet someone new and be like, "Ugh, okay, sorry."
So you've had a past life with that person then?
Right, yeah. It's
Okay.
it's like a little bit odd to sort of have to have this new relationship under a one-sided pretense that I was there too and it's like odd, because I was like, "Oh, I remember you." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Um, anyways,
Don't
I was
you
sort of
remember?
yeah, right.
On.
We were pros, man. We were pros. You're like, "Okay, yeah, no."
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that. So the way you're explaining all of this is really, really interesting just by the way you have to deal with it. And, like knowing something that the other person doesn't know. And it's hard.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard.
It's a little I mean, the way that you kind of cope with dealing with it, I range from two ways, Sometimes it really feeds my ego and I really try not to have that one be
Right.
the way that we go. But the
Right.
other way
We're
that I
human.
sort of right, I can be cool. It's okay. um, but the way that I'm trying to lean into on the other side is more like this acceptance that we're sort of all in this same uh, journey and this gratitude that we're colliding together within this life for this moment. And that's the way that I try to go to with the whole like odd knowing things that other people don't know, just to like sort of accept it as this piece of the absurdity and the beauty of who we are this time around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, on the
Yeah.
note of the soul group thing and the theory that there's like different ones, um, I kind of feel like you sort of get glimpses of lives that you've lived that are most helpful or most like relevant to the one that you're living now. Um, because my mom and I used to have like dreams about we were like funny little aliens running around on a funny little planet in our funny little work uniforms. And there's like these really vivid dreams about like talking to the uh, native the native communities of like different planets that we were visiting and being like, "Hey, don't come in this area, we're blowing stuff up," or whatever we were doing exactly. But the point is that we used to have these really oddly vivid dreams that she started to have when she was about my age, and then I started to have them at the same time. And so I almost wonder if that's like an example of the most relevant lives that we live together.
Interesting.
I almost wonder if it's proof of like the, the soul group thing or something.
Yeah, because you've lived your life before and now you're back together in the same as a family again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be something like that as a soul,
Mm-hmm.
like a soul family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the little like past life glimpses that I'm getting is tends to be pretty helpful for the moment. Like
Uh-huh.
um, there will be little moments of like, "Oh, I remember that guy being a funny guy. Don't trust that guy." And then that guy does something weird, and I'll be like, "Ha ha! I knew it, sucker."
I'll get you back this lifetime.
I know what you did, man. They're like, "What?"
Oh man. Oh yeah. We need to get together and chat and everything and hear more of your stories. And it's been a great time talking with you now. And yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have
Now
to
that the
get back
internet
on.
works.
Yeah, now that everything's working, we had a hard time, everyone. We had to start up again on, so this has been a great time. Thank you for coming on the show and
Yeah,
being
thanks
a
for having me.
guest. Oh, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. So,
I appreciate you laughing at my odd sense of humor. Um,
well,
sometimes it goes over well.
I have a weird sense of humor myself. Not many people grab mine. So so forgive me for those in my future shows and everything. I may go a little weird, but it's all in good. I'm not meaning to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. It's all for good. So, well, we will have to get together and chat. So we will talk to you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being on the show. All right, bye.
Good day to you.
To you too.